Welcome to the Inspiring Humans podcast. We are so happy to have you listening. My name is Stephanie Woolard, and this podcast is a platform to showcase the incredible human spirit. On this podcast, I'll be interviewing people from all over the world and all walks of life who will be sharing with us their personal dreams and their dreams for the future. I believe that through coming together and creating community, incredible things are possible. In fact, anything is possible. And I hope that this podcast is a launch pad for creating the new world that we want to see, that will have humanity free, thriving, and living in their full self-expression. My absolute pleasure today to be on this Inspiring Humans podcast with Nikki Casey, who has been a friend and also a supporter of me with her fantastic talents and skills, which are super interesting. So Nikki's business is called Nikki Casey Consulting, and she helps people dress with helping them select a wardrobe that makes them feel empowered and confident. And I remember first meeting you through a friend years ago, and you very generously reached out to me and said that you would be happy to come shopping with me one time to help me select clothes. And I thought, oh my God, that sounds like great fun, because I had a lot of speaking engagements at the time in different countries, and it's something I'd never kind of considered, as someone having it as a profession, or as, hiring someone to help me shop. But it wasn't until I experienced it with you that I just saw the incredible value in actually doing that. So I want to do a bit of a deep dive into that today. And I know you do a lot of other things as well. So welcome, Nikki, and thanks so much for your time today.
Thanks, Steph. Lovely to join you as well. Where do I start? Yes, I do dress people. I dress them from all walks of life, from politicians, CEOs, everyday mums and dads. And funnily enough, my clientele are 50-50 men and women, which is most unusual for most stylists at the moment. And I love dressing the men, dressing them for success, dressing them for more confidence, empowering them through their presence and presentation. And it's just something that I'm totally passionate about, Steph. It's something that I love waking up to in the morning, because it's a feel-good job. I get my kicks and my highs through seeing their body language change, from this sort of hunched over to, yes, look at me, am I a chick magnet yet? Or wow, I didn't think I could look so good. So all those aspects make me feel fantastic, because I'm contributing something as well. So it's not all about earning a living and just the money. It's really about making people feel better, which makes me feel better. So it's an amazing feel-good career to have.
Amazing. And I'd love to just kind of share my experience and paint a picture of how it is to actually, go shopping with you. And I think your energy and passion for it really it made me super excited. Anyway, I remember we met at a big shopping, I think it was Chadstone maybe, or, Chadstone. And we sat down and we had a coffee, and you kind of asked me a few questions about what sort of things I was looking for, or what sort of events, what I wanted the clothes for. And it was just awesome and super exciting. And so then, you took off like an absolute pocket rocket, and I basically followed you into the different shops, and, you asked the budget and all that sort of stuff. So you picked out the relevant shops that would suit, both what I was looking for and the budget. And I remember, it was really funny, because I'm super honest and direct, and you were super honest and direct, and I was kind of going, no, I'm not, that's not my style. And you were like, just try it, try it first and see if you like it, and then make a decision. And so I started trying all these things that I would never look at, just because I thought that wouldn't suit me, or, from past experience, trying on things and going, oh my God. And so that just totally shifted that kind of, I suppose, thought program that was cemented in my mind, that a certain thing wouldn't look good on my body, or a certain colour. And so it was just such an incredible experience to have someone like yourself, who's so experienced in doing this with people, suggest things, but also great fun, you know, following you around into the different shops and having you suggest things that I would initially go, no, that is ugly, but then actually trying it on with different, you know, mixing and matching and going, oh my God, I love that, and feeling really empowered then when I wore it, because not only because it brought back the fun memory of going shopping with you, but because I felt good in it.
Yeah, that's the thing, Steph, that if you look good, you feel good, and it gives you that extra confidence and that spring in your step. You know, I always think of clothes as packaging. So particularly, you know, we women, probably, bit of a biased opinion, but we'll go into DJs to buy a perfume or makeup, and we'll reach for the box that's the most beautifully packaged. And generally what's inside can be good or bad, but we go for the one that's well packaged. And that's the way I see dressing people. It's an outer packaging which helps you connect to others and also to project the image you want others to see. So it's a very interesting and empowering experience, I think, to learn to wear stuff that talks about who you are as a person. And when I work with people, I actually work from inside out. So I've got to tune into their psyche, to their hearts, and I can't push them too far beyond their comfort zone. So use a little bit of psychology, a little bit of connection, and that's why all the questions prior to a shopping or a wardrobe experience, because it helps me connect to the person, understand where they're coming from, and then provide them with a service that's going to create exactly what they want to achieve that bottom line. Make them happy.
Amazing. And so what are some of the kind of basic questions that you'd ask somebody?
Basically, it's lifestyle questions. What do you do socially? What do you do each day? How do you want to appear in that sort of scenario? What do you do for a job? What sort of dress code is there? What sort of image do you want to project? Where are you at? Where do you want to go? What do you want to achieve with this new look? Is it a branding? Do you want a new brand? Do you want an image update? Or do you just want a wardrobe update and feel fabulous about yourself and do something different and treat yourself? And what I've found is that men now are becoming more and more aware of the value of this sort of service. Women came a little bit before. But the thing about the women is that everything comes before. In other words, the children, the husband, the job, the dog, the house, everything. And women are very low on the bottom rung of the ladder somewhere. So doing something like this really gives them a lift. And that's important. That's very valuable. It's a gift to themselves, or somebody can give them that gift. And it's wonderful. It's really a lovely experience.
Well, I'm thinking your skills would be super valuable now, and even to be reminded of them on this podcast, because I've developed some very interesting habits during these lockdowns and spending more time around the house, you know, like Ugg boots. And I've developed a new habit, which I love, of, you know, knee-high socks that are, you know, fluorescent colors and all sorts of weird and wonderful ways to dress. So when we re-emerge and start, you know, traveling again, and when I start speaking on different stages again, I think I'm going to have to be reminded of presentation is a large part of, you know,
I know we've all fallen into those habits, particularly you know, during the long lockdown that we've all come out of. And yeah, the knee-high ski boots are my thing. So there you go. They're nice and hairy and warm. I don't possess the Ugg boots, but the ski boots I do.
I'm sure they look super trendy and fashionable, Nikki. So I'd love to just ask you about what was the point where you found this as a passion and thought, oh my God, this is what I want to be doing for others and as a business?
Yeah, it's a bit of a long, convoluted story, Steph, but the thread that runs right through this since I was a teenager is that my parents had fashion stores, ladies' fashion stores. So I grew to love dressing people, and every weekend I'd be there and helping to sell and do all that. And then things evolved from there, the modelling, the photography on both sides of the camera. And so that bubbled along for most of my life. So I've been involved in that sort of scenario for quite a long time. The interesting thing is that I started off with a teaching degree and taught primary and junior secondary kids, and somehow it wasn't really my thing, as it were. I was much better off in sales, marketing. So I went into that field, went into sales and marketing, went back to uni, did psychology, and started my own training company, basically, where I went into large corporations such as CBA, Shell, Norwich Financial, Ansett Airlines when they were around. That's giving away a bit of age, and the Hyatt Hotel Group. And basically, I trained people in customer service, sales, marketing themselves. And what I realised at that stage was that there were some great leaders with great skill sets, real talent, terrific with their team of people, but they didn't look the part. And I started thinking about it and thinking, well, hang on a minute, there's a real gap here. And how can I work within this gap and make these people really successful in the way they appeared and dress them for success and power, basically. And that's how I started Steph. So I went into training with large corporations, and then I decided to go out just on my own and go one-to-one, which I found incredibly rewarding. I still did the talks and the style workshops for the corporates and did the odd keynote. But the really rewarding part for me is dealing one-on-one with people. And then I had a couple of experiences in my life which shook me up a little bit. I contracted breast cancer in December 2000. And I talk about this because it really opened up my mind to what something like that, how debilitating something like that can be, and how self-esteem, self-worth, confidence all goes out the window, you know, with chemotherapy and losing one's hair and radiotherapy and then years on hormones. And I realised that I could actually relate and help women get through that. So that's very much a thing of mine as well. I work with a lot of women working their way or coming out of breast cancer. And I can honestly just take their hand and say, I really understand. Because a lot of these women can't relate to someone who doesn't. It's all very well to say, yeah, I understand. But unless you've really walked in their shoes, you don't. So I do all that work pro bono, and whoever comes along, I'm happy to help at any time and just renew their confidence, help them feel feminine again and have fun. I mean, you wouldn't believe how good it feels to walk into a wig shop or Mecca Cosmetics and do their makeup and get a crazy wig and, you know, all those wonderful things. So that's incredibly rewarding for me. So it's that one-on-one connection that's that makes me tick and makes me passionate about what I do.
What an incredible gift to give to someone who's going through that. That's amazing. I didn't actually know that you did that, but I can imagine how much that would mean to somebody and how you could, you know, as you said, you could see that transformation of confidence. Yeah, amazing.
And I think the same applies too for women who experience domestic violence. Again, I do that work pro bono and help them because these women have been downtrodden, think they're not good enough for anything, and really need to shift that mentality and that thinking. So that's another area that I feel that I can give back, because at this stage of my life, I love what I do and I'm passionate about it, but there's that need, and I think you understand that very well, to do something more and to contribute. And for me, that's, you know, really, really rewarding.
Amazing, amazing, and what a gift to offer. I'm just getting flashbacks of our little shopping trip. I think we did 2, didn't we? Was it 1 or 2? I think we went twice. Or maybe 1.5. Okay, yeah. So and yeah, so part of the I'm just getting these flashbacks of, you know, the honesty was amazing coming from you, and just your knowledge as well. So it was a bit like, you know, sometimes I'd grab things and, you know, hold them up, and I remember you saying, no, that's, you know, that it's, I remember you saying about the scarves, you know, the long drapey scarf look would suit, you know, my figure, and the different colours would suit. And I remember, you know, the gold and silver jewellery and that sort of, you know, chunky jewellery or little dainty bits of jewellery. So can you run us through a few little, you know, basic, simple things like that, that anyone who's listening can, yeah, just kind of take a bit of notice next time they're shopping?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's all different facets that we use, different areas that give us clues on how to, I hope that's not wine you're drinking.
It's water.
Early in the day. No, you know, sometimes you'll go into a store and you'll see something wonderful on a mannequin or a dummy or on the rack, and you'll pick it up and you say, oh, I just love that, regardless for whatever reason. And when you put it on, it can go either of two ways. It'll either look amazing or look fairly ordinary. And really the main reason for that is your body shape. So there are basic body shapes which have basic guidelines for dressing, which are really, really important. So mostly we look at body shape as stylists or image consultants. Dressing people is basically on their body shape and what suits and what works and why it does and why it doesn't. And taking someone through that exercise is very, very empowering. So in the old days when I was growing up, it was bust, waist, hips, you know, 34, 21, 34. There was even a jingle that I think Jenny Craig had at that time. But now it's totally different. So these days it's all about proportion and ratio. So it's the proportion across the broadest part of your arm on your chest to your waist, to the hip, to the broadest part of the butt. And then that determines your skeletal body shape, whether you're carrying extra weight or less weight, that is your skeletal shape. So if you're a perfect hourglass, you're beautifully imbalanced, you know, the old artists, the perfect hourglass models. And so what we need to do with that type of body shape is not put it out of balance. So we have to accentuate the waistline and keep that beautiful balance. If you're built like me, which is like an inverted triangle, so very broad at the shoulder and quite narrow on the hips, which is generally, you know, a man's shape, that V shape. So what we need to do is bring that back into balance. So any embellishments we make are on that hip area, so pockets, pleats, pattern, and keep the top fairly plain. And usually a V-neck, even if I'm wearing something like this, which is a cowl, it still kind of comes down to a V, which brings in the width of the shoulders and takes the accent off that. And if we embellish down the bottom, then we start getting this balance. So body shape is pretty much everything. Then we look at a person's colouring, whether they're warm or cool, or a mixture of the two. So their skin is a determinant in that, their hair colour is a determinant in that, their eye colour is determinant in that. So then we say, okay, you're warm or cool, so silver or gold jewellery will suit you more. Some people can wear both and look just as beautiful. Some people will be autumn colouring, which are the browns, the oranges, those warm, lovely autumn leaf colours. Some people might be spring, you know, the blues, the greens, the pinks. So that's another determinant. But, you know, it's not really, colour is not really rocket science. People, I think, tend to complicate it a little bit more than it is, because often you might hold something up to your face, and if you notice that it drains your colour, you know that that's obviously not the colour for you. If, on the other hand, you hold it up and your skin and your eyes sparkle and you get a great big grin on your face, then you know that that's your colour. So without complicating it too much, or, you know, I had a client a few years ago, it's a mutual friend of ours, who said, oh, I can't wear black. I can never wear black. And I said to her, you know what? You'd look amazing in black. And what you can do is then break the black by putting some beautiful colours around your face and neck. So don't ever think that you can't wear a certain colour, because there are ways around it. So it's quite a flexible thing, which happens. So there are a few little hints, you know, but have you got any questions that you'd like to ask me?
Or about, you know, my personal style or body, or...
Oh, whatever you like. Whatever.
Yeah, no,
There's something I haven't covered, Steph, you know.
So no, I think that's a great insight and great little tips on the colouring, and that it isn't rocket science. Although I do think it helps a lot sometimes if you're unfamiliar with it and you haven't considered it before. It really helps someone who, like you, who has studied it and, you know, has knowledge in it to to identify maybe, or to help you hold up clothes and see
Absolutely.
what looks good and what doesn't.
Yeah.
And yeah, just even, you know, what I was sharing before about you, with your knowledge, holding up clothes that you knew would suit my body shape and saying, just try this. And I was like, no, I know it's not going to look good. And you were like, just try. So yeah, just, you know, that's such a valuable gift to have, and because it really shifted the way I felt around shopping as well. Like I'm a quick shopper. I go in and I like get what I need, and then, but I was like, oh my God, I've got this new excitement around shopping, you know, and clothes and colors that I can wear, and I was even wearing, you know, lipstick, which I've never really worn before, you know, bright lipstick, and I was going, oh, okay, this actually looks okay. But so I think, you know, that's extremely valuable. But I'd love to hear a story. You know, I'm sure you've got many, but someone who you have been shopping with and who you just felt so lit up by at the end of it, and you thought, oh my God, this is the reason why I'm doing this job. I'm sure there's many of them.
Oh, there's heaps of them, Steph. Perhaps if I give you a man and a woman story, will I? Okay, so there was a guy called Tom, and he came to me, and he was a very, very bright button. He was basically, you know, creating these online businesses and doing really well. And he started off as a 21-year-old, and he had a really bad, heartbreaking experience. He was going out with a lady and she dumped him. So he got severely depressed and sat in an armchair, grew a beard, and basically was very, very down and out. And one day he jumped up and he said, I wonder if some of this was my fault. So he then decided to learn all about how to please women. And this is a true story. And he then did so well that he started an online training program for how to make women happy. And he sold that program very profitably and became an expert on how to make ladies very happy and fall in love with you. Anyway, I got a phone call one day from Tom, and he said, you know what? I'm going to go all around the world and teach people this, and I need gear that I can get up on a stage in, be a chick magnet, and tell these blokes how to do it. So I said, fine. Well, to make a long story short, we went shopping, and this guy is now traveling around the world, lecturing and teaching people and making a huge impact in his presence, his presentations, and it was a real rags to riches, beautiful story. It was one like quite out of the bag. So he's now living a lifestyle where he sold several of these businesses and rights to his business. And 6 months of the year he goes fishing or adventuring or whatever, and 6 months of the year he lectures. So I felt so excited to be part of his journey. It was just fantastic. So that was a really happy story. And the other one was actually a story that I think I've spoken to quite a few people about, and it's on my website. But it was about, I got a phone call from a girl who said, Nikki, I'm wondering if you can help my mum. And I said, well, I'll give it a go. What's the story? And this lady was, her mum was from Tasmania. She was raped as a very young woman, and locked herself up on a property in Tassie and wore Blundstones, baggy jeans and, the big check shirts, put her hair back really severely, no makeup, basically hid from the world. And her daughter was actually a product of that rape. And her daughter was a highly successful lawyer in Sydney. And she said, I need to get my mother out of her cocoon, and because she's very much a hermit. And I said, you know what, fly her across and I'll meet her and we'll have a full day together and we'll just redo her whole appearance. And she said, well, you'll need to tread gently. So I really understood that. So again, she came over from Tasmania. She was literally shaking like a leaf when I met her for coffee that morning. And I thought, okay, so we talked for about a half an hour and just connected very, very gently. And we went shopping. And obviously I wasn't going to push her into something where she was totally or felt foreign and totally uncomfortable. So we did it very, very gently at first, that first day. And she ended up staying overnight. And we met again the second day when I took her to a hairdresser and my makeup person, where we created just a very soft, non-threatening feminine look. And the way I dressed her also was very non-confronting, non-flirtatious, just quiet, classical, with a little bit of an edge. And at the end of it, she felt totally beautiful. And she just could not believe how beautiful she could be. She was a stunning looking woman. So when her daughter picked her up, it was extraordinary that the huge step that she had taken from what she was to where she ended up being. And we all ended up in tears and big hugs. And I still talk to her. She returned to Tasmania. She sold up her property and she's moved to Sydney, has her own apartment, and she works with her daughter. So that was just an extraordinary story. And, people say, oh, you're just a stylist. Well, I will always say, yeah, just a stylist, but it changes lives. And for me, that's everything. Yeah. So they're two very lovely stories that I hold very close to my heart.
They're amazing stories. Yeah, thanks for sharing them. So I've got a bit of a practical question about makeup, because I was kind of, when I look at your face, it looks so perfectly done makeup wise, and I'm kind of super I'm admiring it here. It's like your skin looks so beautiful and just clear and vibrant, and your lipstick kind of matches in, all the tones blend, and the eyeshadow. And I know this is a podcast, but we also have a video version on YouTube for those that can't see. So I'm trying to paint a picture, and even the color of your hair, it's all beautifully blended and matching in the color of your jumper. And so makeup wise and face wise, what can you kind of share with us about knowing what type of makeup to use?
Sure, Steph, it has there are a few aspects of that as well. Like, one very big one is age. So obviously the younger the person, the lighter and less complicated the makeup, because the skin is beautiful, no wrinkles, the eyes are bright and the lids are nice and open and roomy. So minimal makeup. And as we get older, we can increase our makeup and make it quite dramatic. And then again, as we get older again, we need to lighten off again. But basically, makeup is to enhance all our positive features and to hide the ones that we want to hide. So if the skin is uneven, we need a light foundation that's got enough cover to cover the little blotches and patches to make that skin even. But a lot of it comes back to skincare. So again, it's not just about the makeup, it's what you put into your mouth, in your body, and it's eating healthy, it's exercise to make your skin like really sparkle, make your eyes clean and sparkle. So skincare is important, drinking enough water, moisturising the skin. They're the basics before I'd even go for makeup. But for me, I mean, talking about it personally, it's about a light foundation that covers the irregularities in the skin. It's a little bit of eye makeup that brings out the shape of the eyes, and accentuates the eyebrows, for example, because they frame our face. And the lipstick tones I keep fairly natural. But that's for my age group. For a younger person, I love the look of the smoky eyes and the red lipstick and that drama of an evening. But there is a big distinction about what you wear in the daytime and what you wear in the evening. So day makeup should always, no matter what age you are, day makeup should always be light and natural. Enhancing, yes, but light and natural. I'm a firm believer in that. And the foundation should always blend beautifully from the face down through the neck and the décolletage. You know, it's no point having a very suntanned face and a white neck, or vice versa, you know. It just doesn't work. So it's all about getting the right advice. And, you know, companies, not that I'm plugging Mecca, but they were one of the first that started, you know, you can walk in and get quite a knowledgeable consultant to talk to you about what suits, what doesn't, and try a lot of different shades on eyes, on, you know, the cheeks. And then again, it's about highlighting the cheekbones, getting the blush in the right place. So all of those things come into it. But the big thing is to keep it as natural as possible and as enhancing as possible. So accentuate a beautiful mouth, accentuate the eyes, the eyebrows, and get that total blended look without, you know, getting a puppet face, basically. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's it. And I love how you touched on, you know, obviously it's eating well and, you know, exercise and all that sort of stuff, because I think when you feel good, yes, okay, we can decorate the outside of our bodies, but ultimately, and I think that's what you know, that's kind of in the empowerment of the person. They feel good, so it shines through from the inside. So they actually carry the clothes well because they're feeling good in them. And I think that's a huge part of what you do. So it's almost kind of two-sided, isn't it? From the, you know, you said you work from the inner out, and then the outer, you know, our shell looks good too, because when it comes down to it, you know, we are, I mean, I believe we are all, you know, energy, and that really is felt by what comes from us energetically is felt by others. And obviously we're going to feel better about ourselves and shine more if we feel good in what we're wearing. So I love that.
And I think if you feel good, that, excuse me, wiping my nose, it's cold in this room. You know, if you feel good in yourself, it really, as you said, it really comes through, and you start looking after yourself as well. And I think, again, as we were talking before, women leave that as a very low priority, and we should make it a very high priority. So that's something, you know, that comes into the total picture as well.
So I've got one final question, and it's a personal question. So feel free to, you know, share as much or as little as you want. But I'm really curious just to hear a bit about your personal journey of confidence. You know, because everyone talks about confidence, but what is confidence exactly? So how is your, you know, how have you become the amazing confident woman that you are today?
I think you're right. It was a long journey. And when I was young, I had no confidence at all. I was a chubby kid and, you know, went to state school and got ribbed about being chubby and never winning a race. And I remember going home one night to my mum and saying, Mum, I came second in a race. And my mother, in her usual fine style, said, and how many were in the race, darling? Well, there were 2. So there you go. Anyway, so I didn't have much confidence. So then I really had to work on it, a bit like Tom. I sat down and I thought, I don't feel good enough in anything I did. And I was dux of the school. I came top of every grade, but nothing nothing enabled me to really feel good enough, and I had to. Somehow there was something inside me that said, you are good enough, you need to work on this. So it's been a lifetime of work, Steph. It's been building my confidence in certain situations which I really feared. I think one of my greatest fears was standing up in front of an audience and giving that first keynote or that first talk on whatever subject. And once I'd conquered that fear, I moved on to the next fear. So it was actually facing my fears one after another that gave me the confidence and made me feel adequate enough. And then there was the other side of it. That was more the psychological side, but the other side of it was that image in the mirror. And I decided that it wasn't about being chubby or thin. I mean, I lost all that chubbiness anyway, and I've been thin most of my life, but it was more about being healthy and having a passion that kept me fresh and driven. And the better I looked, the more I worked at it, the more confident I became. But it's still an everyday job. I remember working with a hypnotherapist called Lee Saxon. You may not, you're too young to probably have heard of him. But he was an amazing man. He was quite life-changing for me because I went to him at a very low in my life. I'd just been divorced and terribly low and down and out. And I went for help, and they said that, you know, hypnotherapy was a good thing to do. So I ended up working with this guy, and he gave me a wonderful tip. He said, every morning when you wake up, Nikki, I want you to look in the mirror and just hold up your hand like this and say, I'm okay, I'm great. And you know, I do that every single day, Steph, and I've been doing it for a long, long time. But it's just reinforcing to me that I am okay. And the other thing that gives me great amount of confidence, and that's been for the last nearly 30 years that I've been styling and image consulting, and that is seeing the joy and happiness and the confidence grow in others. So that's my biggest reward, and that's telling me I'm good at what I do, and it reinforces, every client reinforces that. And I can honestly say that in 30 years, I've probably had only one client that I would classify as slightly difficult, but that was for other reasons. But overall, it's just amazing, you know, making others happy and feel good about themselves. As I said at the beginning of our talk together today, that's what keeps me going. That's what keeps me feeling fabulous and confident. And I've got to tell you, lockdown is doing my head in because I'm not seeing my clients. You know, it's not easy to do over Zoom, to do someone's wardrobe or to style them and take them shopping online. It's not the same. You know, it's that interpersonal connection that gives me my reason to be, basically.
Yeah, and I think that's what we all need, which is, you know, why it's so, I mean, in my mind, it's kind of like, hang on, but the mental health of people, do you know what I mean? As humans, we need other people, and we need freedom to breathe the air. That's our basic human right as a human, and to be amongst each other, to lift all of our spirits. So, yeah, and Nikki, I think what you do is absolutely incredible, and it's so congruent with who you are and your message and your, you know, legacy that you will leave in the world. And I'm very grateful for your time today. And you know, I was just thinking there, in a world of, you know, some people have grown up with magazines of these like perfect looking people that have been airbrushed and all the rest of it, and it's almost like, you know, it's so detrimental to how we see ourselves and how we're comparing ourselves to these, you know, things that aren't even real. So you're really bringing that empowerment back, and also very tailored and unique to the person, and really, you know, showing everyone that I mean, we're all different. We've all got different skills and gifts to offer to the world. And I think it's when we, you know, embrace that we, you know, and embrace our uniqueness as well, and not feel the need to compare ourselves to anyone else, because it's a complete waste of time, because we're all so different. So, and that's how I see you working with people in your work. So I just want to say kind of thank you. Thanks for your time on the podcast today. I'm sure, everyone listening has taken some great little golden nuggets from both your knowledge and what you've shared with us, but also, your stories that you've shared. So thank you.
Thank you very much for having me, Steph. It's been a buzz. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to our Inspiring Humans podcast, and I hope you enjoyed the show. If you have any inspiring human in mind that you would like to nominate, please reach out and let us know. Also, you're very welcome to become part of our Facebook group called Inspiring Humans, where you can connect with incredible people from around the globe. Thirdly, if you are interested in being part of a global network, we have an incredible community at 7continentscouncil.com, where we hold events, programs, and many different initiatives that you can be involved in. Thank you, and see you again soon.